Malone has a new arts center, filling a gap in the Franklin County town that's had no large space dedicated to both the visual and performing arts for more than 30 years. It's a building with an art gallery and a vast area destined for other events. The renovations of the turn of the 20th century building are the project of Foothills Art Society, an organization that's brought quality arts programming to the North Country since the year 2000. But the group has never before had its own building, so this historic structure is a new building for them. Joining us now to talk about how the center will change life in Malone is Tamar BenArdout, the Vice President of Foothills Art Society, and Lorraine Cartier, the Secretary and Marketing Chair of Foothills. Welcome to you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I've been told that Malone did have a space that was dedicated to the performing arts and the visual arts, but that was a long time ago. That was in the 1970s and 80s. How long have you been without a dedicated large space for the arts?
It's been approximately 33 years. Unfortunately, when the Ballard Mill closed and we also had a theater that closed, most of the things that are happening now are either at the schools or the churches.
Well, this project is a long time coming then. Foothills Art Society serves Malone, but does its reach go beyond that?
It does. It serves the entire North Country. It goes into Vermont and into Canada. We make a point to ask people how they've heard about our events when we host events, so we know where they're coming from.
And now you have a new building for these events. Where is this building located?
It's located right in the historic district, downtown Malone at 45 Pearl.
And what is the name of the building?
The name is the Malone Arts and Cultural Center, the MAC.
Well, we visited this center the other day and we saw that the gallery was up and running. And you recently had a ribbon cutting and an art opening, your first one in your new space. What was that moment like?
It was so exciting. It was so exciting. Everyone was so pleased. The Chamber of Commerce was there. We were actually awarded the best organization by the Chamber of Commerce for the year 2022, which was exciting. And many artists came and were very interested in having their art in our exhibit. So that was really nice to hear.
And what is the name of the art gallery? Because I know that it's separate from the name of the building.
It is. It's called the North Star Gallery on Pearl. Our biggest donor was able to choose the name, and she thought since in the past, a couple hundred years ago, Malone was considered the Star of the North, all through the 1800s, the early 1900s. It was a very industrious community. We had Ballard Mill, which was a woolen mill, and all kinds of industry. And also it was part of the Underground Railroad, Malone was. So we thought that that was a beautiful name, and it harkens back to when Malone was shining, and we're hoping to bring that shine back to Malone.
That sounds beautiful, a very nice goal to have, and your organization is going to help with that. And this building that your organization is purchasing, it has this very large space behind the art gallery. What did this space used to be?
You know, many, many years ago, probably in the early 1900s, that space was a municipal garage. Then it turned into a dress factory, and from there it became a furniture store. And so now we're very excited with the huge space.
And you have a very special thing planned to go into this space.
Yes, we do. We are going to have our very own stage where we'll have our own events, and we'll have a stage that can be built in various levels so that if we have a small event, it'll be a smaller stage and we'll be able to expand it for larger groups.
Right, this is very different for Malone right now, because I know that when it comes to a stage, besides the schools and a small theater group, Malone doesn't really have a dedicated stage for music and performances. Is that correct?
That is very correct, Paul. We're very excited because it'll be the first time that we have a dedicated stage for all our events, including music, theater, dance. It'll be just an amazing stage for us to be able to use for the community.
Well, other buildings in Malone, as we said, like schools and even churches, have small spaces and stages to have music events. But what's really going to set your stage apart?
Well, the nice thing is that it'll be in our space. We won't have to deal with the logistics of taking everything off location. That always takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. We'll also have sound system made specifically for these performances, light systems made specifically for these performances, so it should all be real top-notch. We also won't have to coordinate with the school's schedules because they use their stages. This way, we have our own. We can make sure we're not stepping on any toes, but we know our schedule.
Well, that's great that now you don't have to work around a school's schedule and the time they want to close. But what were some of the stages that you would use in the past?
Well, in the past, we worked very closely with the Chateauguay Town Hall, and we did have Kevin Burt last year that appeared at the Town Hall, blues and songwriter. We used the middle school in Malone for our 1964, the tribute band, and we used the Congregational Church with an amazing sound system for the King's Brass that came last June. So we were excited to be able to use these facilities, but you're right, Paul, it'll be nice to have our own.
What kinds of live shows may we expect to see on a stage like this?
We'll have everything from music concerts to dance performances, plays. We'll even have performances outside. June 24th, we're going to have Sue Horowitz perform. She is a folk music artist who is charting on the folk charts, so it's exciting for all of us.
Well, that sounds wonderful. And I understand there's going to be other kinds of spectacles in this space because you are going to be filling a gap in Malone.
Yes.
With, what is it?
A movie theater. So our last movie theater closed in 1989. Malone hasn't had a movie theater since then. Chateauguay has done a wonderful job redoing their town hall, making it into a theater. So we're taking cues from them. Malone really needs a theater. And then this way we can have matinees for children, we can have evening movies for adults, and it'll be so much less expensive than going to a movie theater. So that's a big draw, I think. I think the community will be thrilled with that.
I can imagine. I'm a film buff myself,
Nice.
and so I absolutely adore seeing movies with a good crowd, a polite crowd,
Right?
but a good movie.
Yes.
On a big
Yes,
screen.
yes.
That's a fantastic experience. I understand this very big space you have with the stage. There's also room for other items in this large space. What else are you going to be putting in there?
We are planning to put in artist studios so that artists can rent space. They can take their art materials from their home and bring it there, leave it out, work, not have it disturbed, but then also it gives the public an opportunity to come in and meet the artists and see what they're doing. So we're hoping the artists will take advantage of that and rent space from us and be in our space working happily.
Well, that'll be great to be meeting artists that way. And when we visited the center, you had some office spaces already opened. How is having your own office space going to be different from how you functioned before?
Well, it's kind of incredible because now people actually can walk in, they can see us, they can see what we're doing, they learn about what we're doing in our shows. And you know, before we were upstairs in the Malone offices, and quite frankly, nobody came up to see us because they didn't know we were there. So now we have a presence, we have a sign outside letting people know when we're open, and people are coming in, so it's very exciting.
What I like about it is the arts are all going to be so centralized in this location. How important are the arts to the people in Malone? What can the arts do for a community?
Well, studies have shown that communities that have art in them are much more successful. The local businesses are more successful. So what we're hoping is with these events that we will house, people will come to the events and then maybe they'll walk up the street and have lunch somewhere, or go into a furniture shop and purchase something, or go into the other galleries. So we're hoping it'll infuse more business into the downtown area.
And it looks like there's a lot of different things going on in the arts. We've covered the creation of the Geese mural by Brendan Palmer Angel, and it just seems like there's a whole effort to revitalize Malone.
Absolutely, absolutely. And there's a huge part of Malone that has become a historic district. So there are going to be lots of grants available in order to beautify the buildings. And I'm hoping that with that beautification, people will start coming back to Malone.
Well, in your opinion, how is this art center really going to change life in Malone?
I think in so many ways. It's going to bring a very artsy feel to Malone. We're going to have all kinds of programs for all ages. We'll have workshops for children up to seniors. You know, we already are working with the schools on certain projects. I think one of the best things you can do for a child, or anyone for that matter, is validate their talent. So if you have a child that has done a piece of art and we put it into a gallery and the town sees it, I think it's a great way to help children learn about the arts and feel like they're a major important part of the community. As well as for seniors, they're walking encyclopedias. So whatever that they would like to contribute, I'm sure it's going to be wonderful.
These are wonderful, life-changing ideas, but it all costs money, doesn't it? Where's this money going to come from?
Well, you know, we started a capital campaign. We already have quite a bit of money in the bank that we've been able to secure, but obviously we need grant money, and now we've written a number of grants this year, and we've been very successful, but we'll continue to work with the town of Malone because there are other grants coming, and we're hopeful that having an arts center in Malone will help secure that grant for our community.
And do we have any idea how much this is going to cost?
Well, actually, we have a feasibility study that will be underway starting shortly, and we'll have the results from that feasibility study, and that will determine exactly what needs to be done and what we're talking about in the way of money.
And what are your other needs right now as an organization?
Right now, we really need volunteers. We do have some workshops for volunteers. We're scheduling one every month to ensure that people are coming in, and actually we've been successful. We have about 6 people that have just joined our group. So we need volunteers, we actually need sponsors for all our events coming up, and that money will help us continue to bring these events to Malone.
Well, even as you're working on this building, which will be a long project, don't you still have some activities coming up that we can look forward to?
We have a lot of musical events coming up, but we also have something very interesting happening in June, which is For the Arts golf tournament. We've had it for 2 years. It's been very successful. We bring teams in from Canada and other areas in the North Country to play and then to enjoy the atmosphere afterwards, which includes silent and live auctions. We have people donating amazing gifts for this. So people have a great time, and we raise quite a bit of money for the association in this event.
And we also have an event called the Malone History Murder Mystery. This is based on a historic fact or event that happened in Malone. There's so many of them. We did it for the first time last summer. We had actors in 10 different businesses throughout Malone, and people had to go into those businesses, interview these suspects to figure out who the culprit for a fictitious murder that happened. This way, we had people going into businesses that may never have been in that business before. The businesses were thrilled to have all these people coming in and out, and everyone who participated loved it. They had such a good time. The police actually came with their sirens going, picked up the culprit, took her off to jail. It was really fun. But it also showed Malone, look what we have to offer, all these other businesses that you might not notice.
It sounds like you have so much to offer with this new art center. Where can we go to find out more about the art center?
You can go to foothillsartsociety.com. Our website has all of our events. You can register for the events, you can volunteer through the website, and you can make donations.
Well, I'd like to thank you both for coming in and telling us about the Malone Arts and Cultural Center, a place where so many inspiring and engaging things are bound to happen.
It's our pleasure.
Thank you for doing this, Paul.
Spotlight is supported by the Glenn and Carol Pearsall Adirondack Foundation, dedicated to improving the quality of life for year-round residents of the Adirondack Park.